Hi guys, welcome back to the Third and Long podcast. I am Drazen Ginsburg, and I'm joined by my hosts Sean Aylin, Greg Gitter, Max Rosselli, and Henry Mitchell. This is episode 10, week 13. Max, we have tons of topics today. I'm going to hand it off to you. Let's get it.
We're going to start with Kamara. We warned you guys last week. Kamara, production going down. He had 11 carries with one reception. Latavius Murray exploded. 19 carries, 124 yards, 2 touchdowns. What does this mean for Saints football?
Well, it's going to be a lot different because obviously we know that Kamara has, throughout his whole career, he's been one of the primary backs in the league. And he started to turn into more of a receiving back, obviously. And he's been that for almost his whole career, which is why he gets all those, yards off receiving and touchdowns. And the first week that Taysom started, he didn't have a single catch. And last week he had one catch for -2 yards. So that's the primary reason we've seen his fantasy points go down, which hurts a lot for fantasy owners like me because now I don't really know what he's going to do every week, especially with Taysom, who's probably going to be starting for a while. If Drew Brees comes back, we don't really know if that's going to happen. So it's a lot different, but I think they're still going to produce. They're still going to win games because they know how to win games, and Taysom can definitely lead that team. We've had a lot of we don't really know what he's going to do, but I feel like he's solidified himself as a decent quarterback for them, especially with the rushing. So I know him and Latavius Murray have been the big, he likes Latavius Murray a lot better because he can actually run the ball where Kamara is basically a receiver in the backfield. So I think it's not going to change much. It's just changing how Kamara is going to produce in terms of fantasy and also just his stats. So, yeah.
Do you think that's going to turn to a committee?
So what do we think? That Latavius Murray can be a good flex play?
Yeah.
I am playing him at flex because I now have Kamara and Murray, and I know every week one of them will go off, hopefully, or it'll just be Max thinks that was a bad decision, but
I agree.
It's always good to have backups, and I think in this case they both can produce. So I don't care if you guys hate on me. I'm 10-2, so it's fine.
Yeah, back to why Kamara's production is going down. First off, Taysom Hill obviously is scoring touchdowns there via rushing, which is going to hurt Kamara. And I think some of the bigger reasons are instead of taking a dump down pass to Kamara, Taysom Hill is going to rush. If he doesn't see anything up and downfield, he's going to run with the ball instead of looking to his right and left and dumping it down to Kamara. And also, Taysom Hill's willing to, take shots downfield. They're doing more than 10, 20-yard passes, which is also hurting Kamara because a running back, even a receiving back like Kamara, isn't really going to go downfield as much as a receiver. And Taysom Hill is throwing it downfield more than Drew Brees would be. Not able to, but more than Drew Brees does normally. So there's multiple aspects of Taysom Hill's game and the Saints offense as of now that's taking away from Kamara and Kamara's production.
Well, I think that game was a bit of an anomaly. Moving on to the Denver versus Saints. They started Durham, folk hero. Yeah, but that game was the weirdest. Honestly, I think Kamara is going down, but that game might be an anomaly. Fantasy owners, don't panic too much here because this is an anomaly game, okay? They were up the whole time. There's no way they were going to get down in that game. That's when they're going to use Kamara, when they're down in games, not Latavius Murray. So don't panic here. They're facing Atlanta. They're going to have to keep up Atlanta. That's going to be a shootout game. They're going to be passing the ball a ton. So I think Kamara will do pretty well. Don't expect a lot, but he will do better. That was one of the worst games I've seen from him in this whole career, probably.
Max, didn't you tell me to panic that I had Kamara? That's
okay.
what you.
That's called a hyperbole. I learned that today
So,
in English class.
Until Drew Brees comes down, until Drew Brees comes back, I have Kamara as an RB2. I just don't see him giving consistent RB1 production until Drew Brees comes back because the way that he fits into the offense has changed so much when Taysom Hill's the starter there. So.
Okay, well, moving on to other running backs. There's this new guy named David Montgomery. I want to talk about him a little, and I want to ask. His schedule is by far the easiest compared to like Derrick Henry. I think they have the easiest schedules. So I'm wondering, can he be a top 10 back the rest of the season?
No.
What's his schedule? Would you mind reading that?
Yeah, I'll read it right here. So he faces Detroit this week. He's got Detroit, Houston, Minnesota, Jacksonville, Green Bay.
Okay, that's that's generally easy. I think well, he's not new. I don't know what you're talking about. He's been in the league a couple years, but newly being like good.
A good game.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, he finally had a good game. And I know
First
like
100-yard game.
Right. So I think I think he could keep it up. It really just all depends on how that offense is going to run because now that I was just about to say now that Mitch is starting, maybe he's going to give it to Montgomery more. And do y'all know how did Allen Robinson do the other day?
Great.
He had
2 touchdowns.
He had 2 touchdowns.
70 yards.
Yeah. So
Okay.
also
Yeah.
looking
So
here. Yeah.
I think Mitch is definitely helping that offense. I know it's Mitch Trubisky. He's always been sort of like a meme, but I think now that they like know who their weapons are, Montgomery and Allen Robinson, I think they're going to produce a lot more, and especially if they're playing these bad defenses the rest of the season, except maybe like Green Bay, I would say, he's definitely getting a lot better. I wouldn't say top 10, but I mean, it really just depends on like other players the rest of the season.
But you have to look so Mitch started the first 3 games of the season for the Bears. Looking at looking at Montgomery's first 3 games, yards per carry, 4.9, 5.1, 3.2. With Nick Foles, he didn't top 4.2 the whole time. Went down to 2.1, now to 9.4 with Mitch coming back. So I think Mitch may help Montgomery even more. It looks like Mitch is a little bit more willing to use him in the red zone, a little bit more check downs over there. I saw a screen pass the other game to Montgomery. So I think Mitch will definitely help Montgomery's output in the last couple of weeks of the season. Luckily, just in time for fantasy playoffs.
So, back when Nick Foles was quarterback, the Bears didn't really look alive, but until last week's game with Mitch, I really thought that the Bears looked more alive than they ever did. And we saw like Allen Robinson getting 2 touchdowns. Mitch Trubisky had 3 touchdowns, including a 2-point conversion to Darnell Mooney. And even though they lost, it was to the Packers, but with Mitch Trubisky in this game, I think that the Bears can do something more than they did with Nick Foles.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the interceptions are always a concern. He had 2 last game, I'm pretty sure. But I mean, I think if he's throwing 3 touchdowns and 2 picks, it's not that much of a concern. But as long as they can keep the ball in their really good players' hands, and we know their defense is very solid, so I'd say the Bears are definitely. They lost a lot with Nick Foles, but I think they're definitely becoming more of a threat.
Back to the Montgomery thing. So obviously, fantasy owners and just people in general have always been ripping on Montgomery this season because he really hasn't had any phenomenal games until last week. But I just looked up his schedule, and he actually had a pretty decently hard schedule to be running back against. Like he had the Titans, he had the Saints, the Rams, the Panthers, the Buccaneers, the Colts, and then the Falcons, and then the Giants and the Lions were when he started to really pick it up.
Yeah, well, always as a running back, he's been generally unproductive, but the only thing that kept him in fantasy was volume. Same with Frank Gore, if you look at him. Same with a lot of those guys. So I do see him as a viable option down the stretch just because of the volume. This game, he did play well, and I have to give that to him. So moving on, let's move on to the return of Eckler and Chris Carson. Eckler, before the game, said he wasn't going to fill a bell cow role, which means a 3-down role. But look, he had 25 touches. He's back. Herbert looks better with him. That looks pretty good. And then Chris Carson, I saw they use Carlos Hyde extremely more. And I just want to wonder, are they going to keep using Hyde, or are they going to stick with Chris Carson, the more talented back?
I think they stick with Chris Carson. There's no reason to give it to Hyde. I mean, Chris Carson's a very talented running back. And before the season, before his injury, he was getting a big majority of the carries. I think the only reason Carlos Hyde is getting work is because they just don't want to rush Chris Carson completely back into things. They want to give him time to make sure he's 100% healthy. before he gets basically all the carries. So I think they're just trying to ease him back in, and once he's like absolutely 1,000% ready to take all the carries in the game, I think that's when we'll see Hyde to get the ball less and less each game.
I kind of disagree. I mean, Carlos Hyde, in my opinion, he's looked like last week. I really didn't watch that much of the Seahawks game, but from what I did see, he looked better than Carson almost. But I feel like we see that a lot with running back twos because, I mean, they kind of walk around with a chip on their shoulder because they're not starting. They know they're only going to get X amount of carries per game, so they have to make the most of it. But whenever we saw Carlos Hyde get the ball, it was always a pretty decent run, and we didn't really see him getting stopped at the line of scrimmage too much.
Yeah, and I think I actually agree with Sean. I'd say in terms of some things, I would just say the only reason that they were playing Carlos Hyde more is just to ease him back into things. And if we're talking about Eckler, I would say Eckler, he had a great week. He didn't score, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. I think in terms of fantasy, he's definitely a great option for your running back 1 or 2. I know Max has him at flex, so whatever. But so I think Eckler and Carson both coming back really helped their team a lot in the run game. And obviously, Eckler's a really good receiving back, so that's another option for Herbert. And I think both of those offenses are just going to get more lethal with their running backs coming back.
Yeah, definitely. So let's move on to some teams here. The Giants, 3-game win streak. Emergence of Evan Ingram, Wayne Gallman, both look really good. And are they going to win that division?
I think it's between them and the football team.
I think they're going to win it. I think Wayne Gallman is amazing.
Although Daniel Jones is ruled out for a countless amount of weeks. So
Who's
Colt
there?
McCoy starting.
Colt McCoy. That's right. Yeah.
So
who?
Colt McCoy, former Texas quarterback.
No, I think Washington's walking away with it.
How
long is he out for?
Yeah, it's going to be hard, definitely. But I think they're going to become more reliant on their running back set with Devontae Freeman coming back soon. And it'll be Gallman, Devontae. Yeah, I mean, and Deion Lewis if he ever gets back. So I think the Giants will win the division.
I agree. I think the Giants will win. I think even with a backup, I mean, backups, just because they're backups doesn't make them bad. I mean, Colt McCoy, I've seen him play in the league. He's not that great. But their running backs, especially Gallman, have emerged as really good players. So I think they don't need crazy good wide receivers to do anything. And if Devontae Freeman's going to come back, then I think they'll be fine. I'm pretty sure they're only one game up in the division, or they have 4 wins, I think. So I would say, I think they're going to win. I think Washington will come in second, and then the rest doesn't really
realistically, any team can win the division right now.
Yeah,
honestly.
it's crazy.
How long is Daniel Jones out?
They haven't ruled a timeline yet, but they said he's going to be out for a lengthy amount of time.
So probably the rest of the season.
There's no reason for him to play.
Okay, so y'all are telling me that y'all see the Giants winning that division and emerging over anybody else in the division with Colt McCoy at quarterback?
Yes. I don't think it matters that Colt McCoy is their quarterback.
I think it most definitely does.
I mean, Colt McCoy, first off, he's a backup to Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is not a very good quarterback, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinions. I just don't see Colt McCoy carrying them to however many more wins it could take to win the division. It could literally just be one more game. Whoever wins one more game could win the division between the Giants and football team.
Okay.
So they'll both move to 4-8 this week because the Giants play the Seahawks and the football team plays the Steelers. I'm pretty sure. So I think that's an L for both teams. It's going to be I think it'll be really close between those teams, and it's going to come down to whoever wins 1, 2, maybe 3 games.
I mean, you can even go to Dallas somewhere and hope those crazy fans get a get a win. And then the Eagles were leading the division before this week.
It's
Yeah.
crazy
So-
how fast a bad division can turn around. When
It just changes entirely.
Yeah.
And then continuing on with that, we saw Carson Wentz falter again. Hurts has a little bit more snaps, but I think they should incorporate him a little more in the game plan. But yeah, that division is not doing great, like we say every single week.
Fantasy perspective for the New York Giants, like really on Wayne Gallman. Wayne Gallman is very touchdown dependent. Like at the past 5 games, he's gotten a touchdown, and I believe just last week he got 2. So that's if the Giants can somehow get to the other side of the field, then Wayne Gallman can just get in there because he is a definite reason why this New York Giants team has been on a 4-game winning streak.
And yeah, he had 24 carries last game. That's like
Yeah.
a crazy amount of carries. Moving on from the NFCs, let's go in to Mr. Will Fuller. So he gets busted for taking PED drugs. So this impact on fantasy, Deshaun, I think, goes down. Cooks, up. Duke Johnson, up. All the receivers. Kiki Kuti, very deep sleeper. Kiki Kuti. Keep that name in mind. So, yeah, Will Fuller, out for a season. You can drop him. But, yeah, anything to say on him?
It's really unfortunate because I think, obviously besides Deshaun, I think he's their best player. Drazen told me the other day that he is number 4 in position rank in fantasy. So a huge blow to anyone who has him on their team. I think the Texans aren't really going anywhere from here. So I would say definitely Brandon Cooks is going to be a lot better for fantasy. Kiki Kuti, he's like, I remember a couple years ago, he used to be like a high-end waiver pickup, and now he's just like nowhere. But I guess you could, get him. If
Also, they released
really
Kenny
need him.
Stills.
Oh, they did? Okay. So, yeah. So I would see if QT's available. And I think, I don't know. They're not really a threat. So it's not
Yeah.
too much to worry about. But it's just unfortunate to see such a good player get busted for that.
Yeah. Wish the best for him next year. He's also out for 1 game next year, by the way.
He also
So
wants to
move-
get traded. So maybe not next year.
Yeah, maybe not. Okay, moving on. Let's move into Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen did not play this week, and look what happened. Jefferson popped off. So I think that can be a 1-2 tandem. Jefferson being the 2 there, but a very strong 2. So Kirk Cousins looks way better than anybody would think. And Dalvin Cook got banged up a little. I think they're going to injury pad him, play Madison a little, and pass the ball way more to Jefferson and Thielen. And that's how it's going to work out. Anything to say on that?
As far as the Thielen and Jefferson go, Bruce, I don't even know that. Nothing really is going to change. I don't think. Jefferson's going to continue doing what he's doing. Thielen's going to continue doing what he's doing. They're both very talented receivers, and then they're building one of the stronger wide receiver corps in the NFL.
I think Jefferson's evolved into a bit more consistent now. Remember in the beginning of the league, beginning of the year, he dropped like 26 yards and then he go for like 170 something. But now he's dropping consistent every game. So fantasy, he looks like a good wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 option. But yeah.
Wait, so was Thielen's injury, was that just 1 week? Was that just
That was COVID.
That was just COVID.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So I think they're still a threat. Like Max said, I think that's definitely one of the best receiver tandems in the league. I think Jefferson was a great replacement for Diggs. I think Diggs is playing better, but I think he's still Jefferson is still very good for having the second best receiver on the team. So yeah, that team is a threat, and it's good to see Kirk Cousins playing better because he's on a huge contract. He's been on it for a couple of years. So I think, yeah.
Moving on to other young receivers, let's move on to DK and Russell. Now I understand Russell. It's not been let Russ cook anymore. It's been let's run the ball more, cook. I don't know. But they've been running the ball way more, but DK is still managing to produce, and Tyler Lockett's evolving into a more inconsistent high upside fantasy option, while DK has evolved in a bit more consistent than Lockett has. So I think they're both good wide receiver 1s, with DK a little bit higher than Lockett. But yeah,
Yeah.
do you guys think Russ is still in the MVP conversation?
I mean, he's gonna be in the conversation. He'll probably get some votes, but he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really see a reason he shouldn't be in the conversation. I think even though he's been a little inconsistent recently, he's still. I mean, it's Russell Wilson. Like, how can he not be in the MVP conversation? He's pretty much in it every year. So
I mean, yeah, has he ever won? I
No,
don't think he
no,
has.
he's never won
no.
MVP.
I
Yeah,
I think he's been in second, but
I think Mahomes will
wasn't
take
he
it.
the
or
one who like?
Henry thinks Aaron Rodgers will, but like,
Wasn't
yeah,
Russell Wilson the one who's like never gotten an MVP vote?
I thought that was.
Or-
I feel like that might be the case. He has won a
Yeah.
Super Bowl though, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
which, yeah, I mean,
That
I
Broncos
can,
Super Bowl.
I think he'll still be in it, but beginning of the year, I thought he was like a lock to win. Now he's not gonna win. But
Lost?
yeah,
no, but he won a Super Bowl too against the Broncos. It was a couple years earlier.
yeah, before the
Before
they should've passed-
it
they
was
should've
like
ran the ball. or
3
something
years
like
before the Malcolm Butler pick.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, they
It was
won.
it was
and
with like
it's
Peyton Manning. The game.
Peyton Manning.
If this means anything, the game started off like the first play was a safety. If that means anything,
Mm-mm.
it's like the earliest score.
All I
in the
remember is
Super Bowl ever.
Broncos Panthers Super Bowl. I don't remember Seahawks Broncos.
Yeah, it was like 45
Yeah,
or something. I don't know.
I'll take your word for it, I guess.
yeah. Anything to say on Russell here? I mean, Aaron Rodgers. What do you think about Aaron Rodgers, Henry?
Let's keep talking about Russell.
No, no.
Fine.
Aaron
If
Rodgers.
you really want me to talk about Aaron Rodgers,
Okay.
earlier
here.
today I told Max that I thought he was a little bit more skilled than Patrick Mahomes, but I said obviously Patrick Mahomes' stats are better. I'm taking that back because I reconsidered the weapons that Mahomes has. And sure, you could say he has better weapons than Rodgers, but I mean they're very close. So I would say Mahomes should win MVP, and I think Rodgers should definitely be second because I think over the last month he's probably been the best player in the NFC. That's my opinion. You could say Dalvin Cook, but I think it's been Aaron Rodgers.
Well, Aaron Rodgers has more experience.
Yeah, that's true.
And I mean, I guess that goes to skill, but Aaron Rodgers knows this NFL game probably more than a lot of other quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And I mean, I will talk about Aaron Rodgers because I have him in my other league. But I mean, Aaron Rodgers gets like 3 touchdowns a game.
At least.
Yeah, and also he has his strongest weapon, Devontae Adams, and that duo is probably the best in the NFL. And
It's up there.
honestly, like he's not gonna get MVP, but if he does, I would be pretty psyched about it because I think he in some ways kind of deserves it.
Definitely last season, like I had him last season, and he was not good.
Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah.
And I will say in my other draft, I was very like should I pick Aaron Rodgers? Like I don't think I should. Or like but then I don't know, like he just popped off this year and he's 38 doing his thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. So let's move on to our last topic. Massive game from Derrick Henry against the Colts defense. And I want to know, do you think the Titans have a chance at the Super Bowl?
Yes, they do. I think Derrick
Despite
Henry,
the defense concerns.
I mean, yeah. I think their offense is good enough. I think if they do make it to the Super Bowl, it'll be from all the games before that will be very close. I think the Chiefs can obviously beat them, but I think they can also beat the Chiefs. I think Derrick Henry and AJ Brown are, in my opinion, top 2 receiver and running back duo in the league. I think Derrick Henry is probably the best running back. So I think there's a chance there, and if their defense can just get a little better, then it'd be nice. But I think Tannehill's playing solid, and he's playing well enough to definitely lead them to a pretty high playoff spot. So I think there's definitely a chance.
I don't see them making the Super Bowl, and let alone winning it. There's still stronger teams in the AFC than them, like the Chiefs, obviously, the Steelers. I mean, some people could would some people would say the Colts, which I don't agree with. But I mean, there's a lot of AFC teams that can at least compete with the Titans, and there are definitely, 2 to 4 that can beat them consistently. So I don't think the Titans have a place in the Super Bowl, making the Super Bowl, winning it by any means. Yeah, I don't see that happening.
So moving on from that, I thought the Colts defense was probably like one of the best in the league, and then they get tortured for like 170 yards on the ground. And run defense is probably their strongest suit with Darius Leonard behind there. So I just want are they still a legit defense, or is that just one little instance of a good player beating a good defense?
That's just one little instance. The Colts defense has been so consistent throughout this whole season, but just it was bound to be one game where they just totally flunked, and this was that game.
Yeah, I just saw it, and like every play, you just knew like Derrick Henry was going to get 10 yards, and that just reminds me of the December games from last season too, where like every play you just saw it, and he just kept running and running, and like he's a marvel to look at sometimes. But yeah,
I
moving
think.
on.
Wait. I think that's just. I agree with Dre's, and I think it's just a matter of the fact that the Titans' offense played so well. Because earlier this season, when the Colts played the Titans had the Colts defense had like 12 fantasy points, and this past game they had -5. So it's just. I think it's just because it was such a good game from Derrick Henry, and I think A.J. Brown scored twice, right? Didn't he have a kicker?
No, he scored once. He had that like 7-yard touchdown.
Oh yeah, okay.
He had an onside kick.
Well, you can also look at it like last time against the Colts, Derrick Henry did well too. So like maybe it's just a matter of a good player. Basically.
It's also like picks. Like picks obviously get you points for fantasy.
Yeah, that's a very run-heavy team.
Any picks, I'm pretty sure.
It's a very run-heavy team, and they don't want to risk the ball any way, shape, or form.
Right.
I have a question for y'all. Do y'all think the Colts make the playoffs? I think are they down one or up one on the Titans in the division?
I feel like they're down one. I'll check right now.
I feel like they just went down one.
Okay,
no. Yeah, they're down one.
Yeah,
Colts are 7-4.
Yeah, Titans are 8-3. Yeah, so
I see them
maybe
not making it.
I'd say. I mean, obviously wild card at most, but I don't think they will. I think
the playoffs are modified this year, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's not modified specifically for this year. They're just. I think they introduced one more team.
Yeah. What I see the wild card teams getting it are the Browns definitely because they're 8-3 and they're a wild card team because the Steelers are in the same division as them, and maybe even the Ravens coming at the end. So like, it's gonna be a packed crew over there.
Yeah, there's so many teams that are like good enough to make like at least the wild card.
Yeah, the Dolphins. And the Patriots are making a late push over there. So like,
that's I don't see that happening. But you never know. It's the Patriots.
I mean, I think the Colts have a legitimate
and the Raiders. But
okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing about the Colts though. I want to see Phillip Rivers win a Super Bowl, but like I don't like it would be it would be so cool to see him win, but like because he's been in the league so long, he's been so good for so long, but I don't think he's a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, especially this year. And and obviously they have a great defense with Leonard and stuff and DeForest Buckner, but
I mean, when you look at that Colts offense, there's no weapons.
Yeah, I mean
Pittman has evolved a little. I gotta give you that. Nyheim Hines has evolved.
Oh yeah,
but
I think Jonathan Taylor's solid. They have
T.Y. Hilton's wash.
T.Y. Hilton. I mean, I think T.Y. Hilton. I don't watch Colts game at all. I don't know how he's done, but I think he still can be a very good player. I don't know anything about the Colts, so I can't really talk about it.
I heard that T.Y. Hilton got like his first touchdown.
Yeah, first touchdown of the season.
Yeah, he had a good game this past week. It was his first.
But yeah, I mean, he still isn't what he used to be. But
yeah, being T.Y. Hilton and that's his first touchdown. That's
I noticed that Rivers is always like those plus size receivers, and that's Pittman. That's Keenan Allen.
That's Mike Williams. I forgot about him.
So like I think Rivers loves those big receivers because they're reliable and they're like good. I got to tell you that.
Yeah.
And like that's when Rivers was like a Pro Bowl guy, maybe even a Hall of Fame guy with Keenan Allen and stuff. So I think it's really cool that he reignited himself in Indianapolis. So moving on from receivers, we're gonna move on to top 5 receivers here. We did this in the beginning of podcast season, and we had probably way different opinions now. But like everybody want to go down the line and give everybody their top 5 receivers.
All right, I'm gonna go first. I think because of the way he played this past week, I think Tyreek Hill is one. I know. Okay, I know you could say DeAndre or Devontae Adams, but like, I think it's very close.
Okay,
And
okay.
I think
Tyreek's one.
okay. So I put Tyreek at 1, and then 2 and 3 are like very hard because I want to say Hopkins, but like he's been pretty inconsistent lately. So I'd say just this season, I'm gonna go Devontae 2 and DeAndre 3,
Okay.
and I'd say 4 and 5. Give me some options. We got Keenan Allen.
You got
Julio.
Thielen, Diggs,
Yeah.
Julio, DK.
Julio, Lockett.
Okay. I feel like I want to put Keenan Allen in the top 5 because I think he's been amazing, and I think
Number 5.
I don't know. This is hard. I feel like maybe Diggs.
Oh,
I
Christian's
don't-
listening right now.
oh, yeah.
Christian. Oh,
Maybe
God.
Diggs. Maybe. Diggs, but like there's a lot. This year. There's so many good receivers. It's really hard to put a
Right.
top 5. But I think that
Okay.
top three is interchangeable. I mean,
Yeah.
I think all 5 can be almost any order of because there's just so many talented receivers in the league, and I wouldn't be mad if you had Tyreek 1, Michael Thomas. I could still see it 1, D Hop. Like there's so many options, but I have D Hop 1, Julio 2, Devontae Adams 3, Tyreek 4, Michael Thomas 5.
Yeah.
That is my order.
Yeah, in spite of like the concerns with the injuries. Yeah, I mean, if they're healthy, I mean, they're elite receivers. Here's mine. Number 1, I got Devontae. Number 2, I got Tyreek. Number 3, I got D Hop. Number 4, I got Keenan. Number 5, now you're out there hating me, DK Metcalf. I know you're out there hating. I
No.
know you're out there hating me.
that man
okay?
drops
There's
so
many
balls.
DK haters in this world, and I'm not one of them.
Yeah. 'cause
So
you have-
I understand. You're gonna say drops. He's good enough where no cornerback can stop him. Okay.
Okay. Fine. All right, Drazen. What about you? What's your list?
I kind of have okay. So number 1, number 1, I'm just gonna say Devontae Adams. I genuinely really like Devontae Adams, and then 2 D Hop, 3 Tyreek, 4
Keenan Allen.
yeah, Keenan Allen, and then 5 I'm probably gonna go with Thielen. Like being honest.
Nice. I think Thielen's in the conversation.
Yeah, he definitely is.
Thielen's in the conversation because Thielen is a threat at the Viking at the 10-yard line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a
that's
major
good
red
point.
zone threat.
Yeah.
And although he may not pile up the yardages due to his other like top 5 counterparts, he's a major red zone threat, just like Mike Evans too. He's better than Mike Evans.
And
But
I
yeah.
mean, Thielen can definitely get the ball and run. And like I mean, he's gotten some deep passes, but it's just Justin Jefferson normally gets those.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna talk about DK for a little bit. I'm not a DK hater. I like his game. I like the position he's in with the Seahawks, but I don't see him top 5. I think next year or the year after, absolutely. But as of right now, I have him top 10, around like 7 or 8. Because I have Keenan Allen, the top 5 guys that I said, and then I think Keenan Allen, Thielen, and Diggs are all.
Wait, did you have Tyreek in your top 5?
Yeah, I had Tyreek 4th. I think. Yeah, so I think there's still guys who are definitely not as athletic or strong as DK, but just more skilled in terms of being a receiver.
I think that comes down to a lot of it. That's why I feel like a lot of people have D Hop at 1 because that man's hands are like.
But like
That's
honestly,
weird.
he's not had like an incredible season.
Yeah, but he's D Hop, which is
Yeah.
why he's like so talented. It's crazy.
And also just tampering the expectations here. Past 2 games, Kyler has been injured, so keep that in mind. That's why he's had like 50 yards in total.
Oh, his
So,
shoulder.
sorry?
What is
Yeah.
is it a shoulder?
Yeah, same thing McCaffrey had. But like that could tamper the expectations definitely. It's your decision, Deshaun or Kyler. And like I mean, I don't really know there. I think D-Hop is definitely always a top 5 lock in most conversations. But of course, this season, those past 2 games have been evident of him not producing like he usually does. So, you talk about the Moving on, talk about the Dolphins a little bit here. So Tua and Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick started the game. They played great, and I noticed more and more Devontae Parker is way better with Fitz over there. Gesicki does better with Fitz over there. They all do better with Fitz over there. And I just do not know why they're still starting Tua. They say they're going to start Tua.
Well, this year, not this year. This week, I think Fitz is gonna play. I could be completely wrong. But at least I only know this because of fantasy. Because I'm starting Fitzpatrick this week if he plays. He's projected like 18 points. I think Tua's still like injured or something.
It was a game time decision, I believe.
Yeah, so I at least in ESPN fantasy has Tua not playing as of right now. But that could definitely change over the course of the next few days.
Dolphins are going against the Bengals, right? Or is it?
I don't know.
I think you're correct. But yeah. Yeah, they're going against the Bengals.
Yeah, Bengals.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, like moving on to the Bengals though, look at the Brandon Allen conundrum over there. So we said this last week, like it's not happening. It's not happening. Every Bengals player stock just took a massive hit. Every single player. I'm telling you. I could see Tyler Boyd is droppable in the next 2 weeks about so. So like honestly,
Droppable. Okay, that's a little far, but
I could see it happening. T.
definitely
Higgins, I think you could drop him right now. T. Higgins, you could drop.
He had a better game than Boyd.
I
He
mean-
actually scored.
I mean, he had a touchdown. 44 yards on like 5 receptions.
Yeah, so they're playing to the run more. You could tell Bernard's not been as productive, neither has Piron. So I just don't see the Bengals. I see the Bengals calling it quits right now and just say prepare for next year.
I don't think they're playing to the run more. I think they're playing on defense more. Like their offense is terrible. Like they're just not. They can't stay out on the field. Like
yeah, and then their defense isn't top tier either, so they're not going to be winning games. So I don't know, but it doesn't look bright future for them.
Definitely, if Fitzpatrick starts, I think because they're playing the Bengals, that he is probably a must start.
Oh yeah, definitely for fantasy wise. I think if he's playing, he's a definitely good waiver pickup streaming option for this week. Definite. And then I have one more topic here. It is the Steelers. Okay, I understand they're undefeated, and some people think they're the 8th best team in the league for some odd reason. But okay, I don't think they are the best team in the league because of these really close games. I don't think they're going to go undefeated the rest of the season. What do you guys think? I think they will fall.
I think they're going to go undefeated. I don't think they're the best team in the league, but I think they're going to go undefeated.
I think they will fall. I love you, Christian. To the Bills. I think the Steelers will lose to the Bills. I think they play week 16, if I'm correct. I think they will lose to the Bills.
I hope not. I can't stand.
Yeah, we're going to hear a mouthful from Christian.
So I think the Steelers are very, very good. I think they're slightly overrated just because of their schedule. And undefeated is undefeated. They're a top 3 team in the league, I think. After the Chiefs and maybe like Packers, maybe even the Bucks. Like I don't know.
Saints. Yeah.
There's some teams like that. Yes, Saints. So I think Steelers are top 3, top 5 team. Undefeated obviously is undefeated, but they have had what appears to be the easiest schedule in the league in terms of out of like division games, because the division's pretty tough, but of course they played the Ravens practice squad basically.
Yeah.
So it just hasn't been too difficult for the Steelers to win.
Definitely. I was watching that game Wednesday afternoon prime time, but like in the red zone, they do not look efficient. And Tomlin was ripping on this squad, and like when they asked, "Why aren't you guys doing well in the red zone?" He just said, "We suck." So like their red zone efficiency is not good. Of course, the defense is still going to be a probably the number one defense in the league. That's what's catapulting them to all these winning games because their defense has 3 touchdowns, tons of interceptions, but their offense is not looking as good as it used to. There's tons of drops. I mean,
it doesn't help that James Conner has COVID.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, he was good beginning of the season. He's going to become a little bit less productive, but he's still good. But
Benny Snell looked fine though. He had
he
like
looked
90
Benny
yards.
Snell looked
He's a
pretty
good
good,
back.
but
He's a good
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Of course, they're facing practice squad guys, but I think they are slightly overrated. And I see them number one in power rankings, and I see the Chiefs right behind it. I'm like, I want to see Chiefs versus Steelers and see what happens over there.
Yeah, because I know
And
who
just-
would win. It'd be the Chiefs.
I think so
Close.
too.
I think it'd be close because of the defense, but I think
I
the
don't think any defense can contain Mahomes except the Raiders defense, and it's just the Raiders defense for some anomaly reason. But like, I think the Steelers are definitely a little bit overrated.
So, guys, that is going to conclude episode 10 of the Third Long Podcast. I hope everyone enjoyed and come back next week for episode 11.